Just had my worst experience with another player since launch. Pardon the rant. So I was playing Termination on Absolute with a couple of randoms. All seems to be going well until the first stage's tunnels. Before the drop pod, when a Neurthrope spawns in the tunnel, at the time a mob appears outside and begins to enter the tunnel, sandwiching us with the Neurthrope. Alright, that's pretty wild. Neurthrope in the tunnel. Very interesting. And the mob has about 50 or so spore mines with it. Alright, Neurthrope and spore mines in the tunnel. Rough. Yeah, if there's that many spore mines, definitely take them out first. Neurthrope is about dead, so I roll out the tunnel as to not get sandwiched. I see. So then you had to deal with the spore mines. Okay. This is interesting. What are they playing? It doesn't say what the original poster is playing yet. And I start taking out the mob and spore mines from where I repositioned to. Our assault gets downed, unfortunate, and then this other dude, Vanguard, just loses his stuff. Like, unhinged levels of losing his stuff, incredibly angry that I repositioned, and incredibly angry at the assault who has almost soloed the Neurthrope got down from calling us terrible players, throwing in some casual insults, yada yada yada. Venomous, they call this guy, and generally being a terrible person. Wow, okay, they were throwing everything at us. Yeah, okay, so it sounds like, if you can see here, it sounds like this person kind of just crashed out. And, like, not in the funny way of crashing out, but, like, in the in the scary way, I guess. In the terrible way and very immature way. I mean, I guess crashing out is immature regardless, but hey, sometimes things need to be said. Okay, this is so silly. Let's continue. I explained, whoa, dude, chill. No need for that. I have the gene seed, so I've repositioned. He's back up. We're all up. Stop with the with the racist jerk stuff, or I'm going to report you. Sheesh. All right. Yeah, I mean, dude, to be honest, I haven't seen any sort of, like, slurs dropped in chat before. This is definitely something new to me. And I mean specifically this game, not like I've never heard a slur over multiplayer before. Which, I mean, to be fair, it's been rare, regardless. You can assume how that went over. It didn't matter. I'm a bad player for carrying the gene seed. I'm a geez for repositioning. I'm some dumb monkey who should. Jeez, dude, I can't even say some of this stuff. You get the idea. Just seething with despicable stuff coming out of his mouth for the next 5 minutes until I finally mute him. Brother. Brother, you should have muted him at the point where he starts to get mad at you repositioning. That's why I would have muted them, like, immediately, to be completely honest. Sometimes, okay, just for context, sometimes I mute players in games, but they don't say bad stuff. The reason I would mute players in games that I'm recording is so they don't, like, it's not for them to be it's not because they're being toxic, but if they're on voice chat and, you know, they get hit by a spore mine or something and just curse. Yeah, sometimes I could put a little bit of a road bump in my, you know, getting a video monetized or whatever. But again, I've been pretty good with this stuff, so I haven't run into any strikes or anything. Which, you know, I kind of don't want to talk about stuff like that because to me, I have my stuff figured out. As long as I do with what I'm comfortable with, I'm not too concerned with, you know, anybody either cursing in my games or regardless. But yeah, it's just a hazard that I try to avoid ultimately. I felt bad for other players because I just stopped playing. I voted to boot the dude, but the assault must have had his mic off because nothing happened, and I refused to keep playing with that jerk. Then leave the game. Bro, hold on. This is not the way you handle this situation. As soon as he starts complaining, and as soon as you notice the assault player is still playing, then yeah, just mute the guy and continue playing. Don't, you know, you could leave the game, but I would suggest just completely ignoring this guy because all he can do is cry over his mic. That's it, you know? Just complete the game, get the experience, mute him, and yeah, ultimately, don't waste their time. Don't waste their time is kind of what I'm getting at. What was funny is that my numbers were still better than his despite not playing for about 5 minutes. Oh, okay. So he went AFK for 5 minutes. I mean, that's not, like, terrible, but still at the same time, it's like, it's kind of a waste of 5 minutes. I play a lot of games, but I've never had somebody spit such venom and trying so hard to make it personal before. And I play Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. Oh, jeez. So that's saying something. I'm prestiging my last character, and I have probably an 80% clear rate on Absolute. So I either don't suck at this game or I have incredible luck getting carried by randoms. Interesting. I wish we could see our records for operations. That would be sick. I keep voice chat on, but mostly muted, but engage in friendly conversation when someone is up for it. I hate needless stuff talk. Oh, yeah, needless crap talk, whatever. The worst I ever said to someone out of nowhere is, "Oh man, would you please leave me a dang execute?" I'd never even heard someone talking crap in this game before. I didn't know it was a thing. If you ever have the pleasure of playing with somebody, please report them. All right, got you. I might not even show that, but regardless, I understand. I mean, getting toxic over voice chat can be incredibly tilting. And ultimately, the way I deal with these situations now is I just ignore them because it's such a waste of time. It's not only a waste of time, but the thing is, even if you like defend yourself over voice chat or whatever, it's like the mental anguish essentially isn't worth even getting involved in what this guy's trying to do. You're just going to feel bad because nothing's going to be like, there's no solution. You're kind of just you're basically getting worked up over nothing. So effectively, it's kind of just a toll on your mental health to just get worked up over nothing. But yeah, this was an interesting post. I definitely wanted to cover this because I wanted to say, obviously, don't get toxic over voice chat. That's stupid. You can just get muted. You're wasting your time. And then B, I had seen one or two commenters mention on like some of my videos where we kind of like talk about people stealing gene seed or whatever. I had a fair amount of commenters kind of worried that the game's community is getting toxic, and I just wanted to point this experience out just to kind of say that this is incredibly rare. And not to mention, you can just mute this guy. As soon as he starts going over voice chat, blaming you for something, you know for a fact it's not worth it getting involved, man. It's a video game. Sometimes people make mistakes. There's nothing you can do over voice chat outside of saying, like, hey, stims clear mortal wounds. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can say in voice chat that's going to make the players play better. It's just not going to happen. The only thing over voice chat that is worth it is to, obviously clarify the mortal wound rules, and then like maybe let people know what your ult is doing, but you can even do that with voice lines. So ultimately it's really just like, stim advice. That said, don't get toxic over somebody for not clearing their mortal wound. Holy cow. But yeah, this stuff is rare, and I kind of want to yin yang this situation because the same day I came across this terrible experience from, obviously this player just wanted to share it, which is fine. This is definitely a learning point for some players where it's like, yeah, no matter how toxic, no matter how helpful you think you are in voice chat, you can't magically make players play better. It just doesn't happen. But yeah, regardless, this was a terrible moment, and I kind of want to offset this terrible moment with a good moment. This game's community proves PvE games are the best. Okay, PvE games are the best because of Space Marine 2. Let's go, guys. This game's community is genuinely one of the best communities I have ever seen. Now, before I start, I want to say I'm not going to deny the bad, obnoxious teammates that do exist in this game. But with that being said, the vast majority of randoms I've queued with in Absolute have been god-tier human beings in both skill and character. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yes, hello, Absolute randoms. Apparently, we are top-tier human beings, and we are the examples. We are the examples of good communities, I guess. I don't know. How about we're the good examples of how cool it looks to slay Xenos? That works. I've been working on progressing my classes, and I would say I'm a decent player across all classes. Yeah, that's good. Honestly, that's great. But I won't deny that I get into some sticky situations sometimes. Okay. I have seen randoms in Absolute be both generous and just good at the game. I've been with people where we'll sit around for stims for a minute. All pinging it for somebody else to pick it up. I can totally imagine this. But okay. Reading this after I just read a toxic story is it's so funny. Oh my god. Because it's like... It's like there are two situations you can run into in this game. Apparently, just moving out of the way from a neurothrope can get somebody to call you names over voice chat, and then we have these three players who are just like, nah, you take it. No, I'm okay. Oh, you take the stim. No, you take the stim. I'm okay, man. You can take the stim. Well, I'm okay too. You can take the stim. Hey, do you need a stim? No, you need a stim. Like on one hand it's like unbearably toxic, and on the other hand it's like you guys aren't progressing because you guys don't want to take the stims from the other players. Okay, this is great. This is great. When I was prestiging Sniper and running Las Fazul, I had people point out ammo boxes for me. Yeah, they should. That's actually pretty cool. Wait, hold on. No, depending on what prestige you are, you can refill your ammo, Sniper. Yeah, leave the ammo boxes for the assault player, please. Unironically, that's the best way to get your contested health back as assault, is if they have ammo. And if the assault doesn't have ammo, they're going to go down. They will go down. Okay, let's continue. Point being, I've rarely had a bad experience with this community. Y'all awesome. Y'all goated. Let's keep slaying for the Emperor. Hey, you know what? Honestly, this is a good post. This is a good post. It didn't say too much about how positive the community can be. Well, actually, you know what? To be honest, yeah, that they only needed one scenario to show the state of the community, and that is everyone literally pinging the stim. Could you imagine? It's like, brother points out stim, brother confirms, brother points out stim, brother confirms. Holy cow. Yeah. I can imagine. I have been in this situation. For now, though, I'll point out a stim or a gene seed or something, guardian relic, whatever. If I see them just walk away from it, I'll count like 10 seconds and I'll just pick it up and go, a lot of people, like even me, to be completely honest, I'm not gonna go back too far to pick up a stim, and if you're near it, just pick it up. just pick it up. I don't care if you need it. I'm not gonna go back for it. I don't think the other player is gonna go back for it, and you already have a stim. Who cares? Now you have a second stim. It's only in checkpoints areas where it's like, oh, that was kind of an annoying stim to pick up because we have a teammate who has a mortal wound, and we're all around the stim. We all saw you pick it up for no reason. But yeah, it's one thing in the checkpoint to kind of get greedy with stims, but if we're on the move and a stim pops up and nobody wants to go back for it, congratulations, you now have an extra stim. At least that's the way I operate. But it's neither here or there. Ultimately, these two situations were incredibly funny to compare and contrast to each other. Neither of these teams are progressing, by the way. One team's not progressing because the guy doesn't want to play with the other guy, and then one team's not progressing because they don't know who to give the stim pack to. Yeah, guys, I guess it depends. Again, in checkpoints, you can take some time to figure out who picks up the stim. But if you're an absolute and you're just looking around for somebody to pick up a stim and nobody wants to pick up the stim, you're kind of wasting time. And yeah, you will spawn in an extremist just because you guys are too generous with the stim. Well, just to be clear, I don't want to confuse anybody. I would rather have the stim issue than the issue of somebody just getting, calling out slurs over voice chat. I'd rather have a little bit of a confusing stim moment than a tilted player moment, essentially. I've only had good experience so far, but I only play in lower difficulties. Yeah, I can imagine it doesn't get toxic in lower difficulties. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys ran into any toxic situations in average difficulty. Substantial can get pretty sweaty, but ultimately, that's still a lower difficulty, I guess. I'm actually really nervous of trying anything above average due to being worried about people being toxic. Yeah, this is exactly why I wanted to make this video, to be completely honest. But you did the right thing, just muting, blocking, and reporting him. I also don't use mic. I find pings to be plenty enough. Okay? I mean, honestly, yeah. The only thing pings aren't enough for is to let people know how to clear their mortal wounds. It's like the only thing. But, okay, yeah. This person is afraid of trying higher difficulties because of toxic teammates. Now, obviously, yes, you can just mute these people. But still, these people don't really exist to that extent, to the point where it's like, oh, you need to hesitate to jump into higher difficulties. You don't. And when want to jump into higher difficulties, definitely just try out Substantial or Ruthless. But you have to be really confident with taking out multiple majors to start to go into Ruthless and Substantial, and even Lethal. But like Lethal, you need to be comfortable with taking out Extremists, and then Absolute is multiple Extremists. Substantial and Ruthless can kind of blend together a little bit, but you will see more. You will see more extremist enemies in Ruthless, and then for Absolute, just to reiterate, you need to be comfortable with taking out multiple Extremists for Absolute, and I guess now multiple Terminus in a week. Holy cow! Sheesh. But yes. Should you just mute toxic players? Of course. However, there's not that many toxic players. I've never had anybody on the mic curse me out, ever. It just doesn't happen. But yeah, ultimately, it shouldn't be a reason to hesitate on jumping into higher difficulties. And honestly, I get that you're playing a lot of average, but at a certain point, it's going to be too easy. And when it is too easy, that's your sign to jump into higher difficulties. You can pretty much look at higher difficulties, if you haven't experienced them yet, as more content. So there's really no rush, because if you enjoy the difficulty you play, then win-win, because now you enjoy the difficulty you play, and then when the time comes, you have more content. You essentially can, just experience a new way of the game. It's higher difficulties. So yeah, take your time. Ultimately, there aren't that many toxic players. This is kind of why I wanted to introduce this toxic player, just to point out, you're not going to run into this guy. You're probably not going to run into this guy. And if you do, it will be your 1%, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, if you run into a toxic player, congratulations. Your next 99 games are unlikely to have a toxic player. Something like that. "90% of teammates I've had in my 450 hours have been good to play with. The quality and skill varies, but they are generally good at sharing resources and not being obnoxious. I've only had issues with a handful of people I've either had to kick or mute. The worst I've ever had was actually yesterday." Okay. "I spawned in on an absolute inferno run where one guy's dead, the other was down. Holy cow, so you're now in a position to save this run. I cleared the rest of the wave, rezzed the down player, huge, and dropped a banner so he could heal on a major. I left to him when he got up. Did he do it? As soon as the other guy spawned back in, they kicked me." What? What? Maybe they were trying to get a friend who discoed back in. Who knows? Still made me salty. Discoed. Is that like disconnected? Okay, yeah, just kind of a weird image seeing somebody like disco out of the game. But okay, who knows? Still made me salty. Yeah, I would be salty too. I gotta be honest, stuff like this, yeah, I want to see that clip. This could have been one of the worst kicks. What was he? Oh, sheesh, dude, I can't even remember what was the last worst kick, dude. Yeah, because he took out 3 Terminators and then got kicked. Yeah, I don't know. This is tough. That's pretty close. Okay, so I will admit, it does feel like random kicks happen more often than somebody getting toxic over the voice chat. But I have a sneaky suspicion that people would rather deal with a random kick than a random toxic teammate, essentially. Some people just don't want to deal with people getting angry and like essentially would just leave the game anyway. So if the players who are going to kick you, if they were just going to get on voice chat and just start cursing you out for whatever reason, like most players just aren't going to deal with that and will just like leave the game. And honestly, they'd be fine for it. You don't really lose out on, you're not missing out on anything from getting kicked from one operation. Like, you should be fine. And ultimately, what is this? Absolute Inferno? Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine kicking a bulwark from your team. Like, let alone somebody who just saved your run. That's wild. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. Would you rather get kicked? Would you rather see a toxic teammate? Do you have a take about the positive and the negatives from the Space Marine community? Ultimately, pick up the stims. Don't wait for like 5 minutes to decide who needs to pick up the stims. Somebody pick up the stims. And use it to clear your mortal wound. But yeah, this was the good and bad of the Space Marine 2 community. Apparently, we're the best PvE community out there. Space Marine 2 reaches 7 million players, and this is how I'm going to conclude this video. If you haven't seen, this was announced about like a week ago or something. 7 million players, Space Marine 2. We have seen a sale recently, and then a couple months ago there was another sale. So I'm not surprised. I'm genuinely not surprised that we have 7 million players in Space Marine 2. So out of 7 million players, there's like 70,000 toxic players, something like that, okay? And then everyone else is nice and will immediately stop whatever they're doing to make sure you pick up that stim. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, and thanks for watching.